Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hmm.
Here, we take a stack of information, distill it down to its most crucial insights, basically giving you a real shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we're digging into the top global headlines from the past 12 hours. That's as of Monday, August 4, 2025. Our mission, to navigate these really diverse, impactful news items, pull out the critical stuff, and connect the dots for you, so you understand not just what happened, but crucially, why it matters.
Exactly. And this isn't just reading out headlines, is it? It's really about understanding how interconnected everything is on a global scale. We'll be looking at everything from, well, actual seismic shifts to tremors in the global economy and some pretty significant geopolitical moves, too. We want to make sure you grasp the threads linking these things that might seem separate at first glance.
Okay, so let's start with, well, the Earth itself making news pretty dramatically. We've got the Krasheninnikov volcano over in Kamchatka. It's just erupted, and this is the first time in about 600 years, sending ash, 6 kilometers up?
6 kilometers, yeah. Remarkable height. And what's really striking, as our sources point out, is that this huge eruption came right after a massive earthquake.
Right, a magnitude 8.8. That's enormous.
It really is. And initially, that quake triggered Pacific tsunami alerts, big ones.
All the way to Hawaii and Japan, I saw.
That's right. But then, interestingly, Russia canceled those alerts pretty quickly. The wave forecasts just weren't showing a major threat.
So, okay, that quick cancellation, does that tell us something? Are we getting faster or more accurate with these predictions?
Well, that's a great point. It's not just about speed, I think. It really reflects how much better the modeling has become and the international cooperation, the data sharing. It's all much faster now.
Okay.
And our sources also highlighted that the earthquake itself might have sort of nudged things along volcanically, not just Krasheninnikov, but maybe Klutachevskoye too. A complex interaction happening below ground. So the fact that authorities could quickly say, okay, big quake, yes, but the tsunami risk is low, that's critical. It avoids unnecessary panic, huge evacuations. That kind of precision is a big step forward.
It really is. Managing those unpredictable rhythms of the Earth a bit better. All right, so from geological tremors, let's pivot. Let's talk about the global economy. It seems to be experiencing its own kind of volatility right now.
Yes, definitely seeing some ripples there.
We saw Asian and European stocks take a hit. The U.S. dollar weakened. Risk assets kind of stumbled. What's the main anxiety driving this? Is it just one thing?
Well, the weak U.S. payroll report was definitely a trigger that got attention. But reading between the lines, the deeper issue seems to be a sort of tremor of distrust. Our sources are pointing to real investor concern about potential political interference in labor statistics.
Oh, okay, so not just the numbers themselves.
Exactly. When you see things like, President Trump firing the Bureau of Labor Statistics chief, and then a Fed governor suddenly resigns, the market reads that as a potential threat to independence, to the integrity of the data.
Right. Confidence is key.
It really is. And that can be much more destabilizing than just one bad jobs report. Even though the dollar did recover a bit later, that initial sharp reaction, well, it spoke volumes.
That makes a lot of sense. And beyond that immediate reaction, there's this sort of waiting game happening now, isn't there? Everyone's looking ahead to these crucial interest rate announcements.
Absolutely. The Fed, the Bank of Canada, Bank of Japan, all eyes are on them. Plus, we've got key U.S. data coming up, ISM services.
That's the non-manufacturing sector health check.
Precisely. And durable goods orders, tracking those big ticket items. So, yeah, everyone's kind of holding their breath for those signals.
Okay. But it's not all negative, right? You mentioned pockets of resilience.
Indeed. It's never entirely one-sided. Amidst all this anxiety, you look at, say, industrial gas giant Linde. They actually beat their Q2 earnings estimates. Strong demand, apparently.
So some sectors are still pushing ahead?
Right. And another example, French nuclear company Orano, they put out a statement saying these ongoing U.S.-EU trade deal discussions won't disrupt their operations. It shows how some strategic industries might be a bit insulated from broader trade winds.
That is an interesting counterpoint. And you mentioned Germany, too. Something positive there.
Yes, Germany's manufacturing PMI, that's the Purchasing Managers Index, it actually edged up slightly into growth territory. Modest growth, mind you.
But still growth.
For the 5th month in a row.
Yeah. It suggests German factories are slowly gaining some momentum back.
Okay, but then how does that square with the wider trade picture? Because that seems to be heading in the opposite direction. Well, that's the tension, isn't it? You have these internal glimmers of strength, maybe. But then externally, President Trump just imposed new tariffs on dozens of nations, specifically calling out India with a 25% tariff, and South Korea, too.
Wow. 25% on India.
Yeah, that sends another shockwave through global trade sentiment, obviously. So it's this constant interplay, internal economic signals versus external trade pressures. It's definitely a critical dynamic to keep watching.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears again from economic currents now to geopolitical tides. We're seeing some equally significant moves there. International conflicts, policy responses. Slovenia, for instance, has made a pretty substantial decision.
Yes, quite significant.
A full embargo on arms exports, imports, and transit to Israel. And this is being framed very clearly in the context of the intensifying Gaza conflict and, rising humanitarian concerns globally. What kind of message does a move like that send?
Well, it really highlights how these major global conflicts directly drive national policy changes. It reflects Slovenia's stance, obviously, on the humanitarian situation, and it potentially signals, a shift in how some nations, maybe smaller ones particularly, are willing to engage diplomatically or economically with ongoing conflicts.
So it forces a consideration of different perspectives.
Exactly. It brings those humanitarian concerns right to the forefront of policy. How do you translate concern into action? This is one way, apparently.
And then, sticking with conflict, we turn to Ukraine. Russia has claimed capture of Chasiv Yar, a strategic town.
After a very long campaign, yes. 16 months, reportedly.
16 months.
Yeah.
But crucially, this claim is disputed. Ukraine is pushing back. Counteroffensives are ongoing.
And that's vital context, isn't it? It immediately raises questions about how claims like these shape the narrative, especially when they're disputed on the ground. It really emphasizes how fluid information is in a conflict zone, how challenging it is to verify facts when you have competing assertions.
So the reality is likely much more complex.
Almost certainly. The fact that Ukraine is actively disputing it tells you the situation on the ground is probably far from settled, regardless of the claim.
Right. Okay, wow. We have covered a lot of ground. We've just navigated through a truly, truly packed 12 hours of global headlines. From the Earth literally shaking in Kamchatka to these shifts in global trade policy, critical movements in international conflicts. Hopefully you've now got that distilled essence, what happened, why it matters. You're well informed without, drowning in all the noise.
And maybe stepping back just one last time. What does this all tell us about, well, the trajectory of our world right now? Consider how each of these things we talked about, they seem separate, right? A volcano, a jobs report, an arms embargo. But they all contribute to the bigger global narrative. So here's something for you to think about. What's one connection, maybe an unexpected one, that you can draw between any two of these headlines? How might they influence each other in ways that aren't immediately obvious? Something to mull over.